Thank you, Minister, for talking to us.
Thank you.
Here. Next week, we'll be presenting the national budget.
Yes.
Just in brief, what can we expect from the national budget, particularly in terms of economic focus?
I think every Zimbabwean should find something positive, something that they will benefit from the budget for 2024. But I must also say that the budget will seek to be stimulatory to economic growth, because we need the growth to pay for our pro-poor services. So there will also be quite a bit of budget allocated for pro-poor services, for which then we have to raise revenue from the higher growth areas within the economy. So that's what you will find in this budget. The budget really does speak to the 14 pillars of the NDS1, and whether looking at macroeconomic stability issues, investment in infrastructure, social protection programs, food security, and supporting the vulnerable. It's all in there. So really, I think they should expect a good budget, a budget where there will be something for everyone. You can imagine, for example, the inflation has gone up, compared to last year, although it is coming down now, which I'm very pleased with. But clearly, we need to make some adjustments in terms of the income tax bands. So citizens can expect some adjustments in terms of income tax bands, for example, without saying too much. Yeah.
You have predicted that the economy will grow by at least 3.5%.
Yes.
This year. And given that we've got
2024.
Yes.
Yes.
Given that we've got the drought, also talk of the fall in the price of minerals. Do you still believe that it's possible?
Oh, yes, indeed. The 3.5% GDP growth forecast for 2024 takes into account the tapering down of commodity prices due to the slowdown in global demand for these commodities, and that is obviously setting the price trend in terms of focus going forward. But also it's got to do with the domestic factors around the rainfall pattern this year into 2024. Looking at the El Nino possibilities, already the rainfalls are a bit patchy. Already there are signs that things are not, altogether normal. So we've built that into our forecasting situation. It will mainly affect the maize crop, where we're expecting a maize crop to be just above 1 million, 1.1 million metric tons next year, compared to about 1.6, 1.7 million this year. So that drop is basically what that drop in our GDP forecast is capturing. It's a maize agriculture story. It's a weather pattern El Nino story.
Also, in your budget, there have been calls to increase in terms of syntax, particularly looking at visit rates, the like, things that are viewed as are driving the negative effects of society. Do you expect that in this budget?
Well, will that bring specific whether we will do anything or not? I think it's like this. Basically, we are seeing an increase in the incidence of non-communicable diseases, such as cancer, hypertension, diabetes, and so forth. So there's always need for government to raise additional revenues to deal with those NCDs. We set up a special, last year we set up a special fund actually. So really there's always pressure to bolster this, because this is a scourge, is something that we should really watch out for as a nation, that the NCDs are here to stay. And if we can raise additional revenues, so that we can lower the costs of insulin, of hypertension tablets, and subsidize cancer treatment in our hospitals, acquire more equipment, acquire the right drugs to deal with cancer, that's really the way to go. So again, in this budget, we'll try our best to make sure there is adequate budget towards that.
We've seen the country experiencing a boom in mining sector, particularly lithium is a new goal that we have. But they've been concerned that the government is getting probably eroded in terms of the royalties is too small. Look globally. Do you share the same view?
Oh, well, you know what? We have increased our royalties quite a bit in the last few years. I think we've done well. We used to be as low as 2%, and now the lithium royalties are at 7%. So that's a major improvement. But secondly, as government, we've insisted, in fact, we have a law, a statutory instrument, that says that we cannot no longer export raw lithium. Lithium ought to be beneficiated. And I'm pleased to see that some of the companies, at least two, that are in the lithium sector, are beginning to beneficiate. They've built concentrator plants and so forth, and they'll move further to higher levels of beneficiation towards materials that are ready for battery manufacturing. So this is pleasing indeed. So obviously, out of exporting higher value products from beneficiation, Zimbabwe will benefit more in addition to the royalties which we've already raised. Of course, we'll watch the space and evaluate if indeed it's enough what we've done, or over time, if we need to make adjustments, we'll make the necessary adjustments. But also we have to take cognizance of the fact that these companies, they've just come in, they've just started producing, they need time to also to stabilize, and we have to balance that need to create periods of stability for these investors, and balance that with the revenues that we need, resources that we need to finance our budgets and other development projects.
Minister, we're coming from elections, and you've been championing the issue of re-engagement, particularly dealing with debt clearance, and the EU being part of that group of dealing with debt clearance. Among the issues we read through is that they wanted free and fair elections, and their report, which they released recently, spoke to them. Do you still believe that the debt clearing program will still remain on course, as well as yield the same results that when you began, when you were looking at?
The issues you mentioned on the elections, that's only one of the requirements or issues under our matrices that we've developed for this process. There are many other areas where we've made tremendous progress as a country. So the areas clearance dialogue is continuing. Our technical teams, remember, with 3 streams, one on economic issues, the other on governance issues, and then the third one on land and farmer compensation issues. Those are continuing. The technical committees have resumed their discussions, both bilateral at the bilateral level, but also together. In fact, we've got a meeting on the 8th of December, for instance, on economic reforms metrics. So I'm very pleased. The progress is very good. In fact, we've done a lot already, and we're building towards, a staff-monitored program eventually, as we have these discussions, which will then help us identify, in the end, those sponsors that will be keen to support us in our arrears clearance agenda.
Lastly, more importantly, Minister, the issue of disposable income. Many people have said that your administration has seen a shrinking in terms of disposable income, particularly for government workers. You have the 2% tax, which is really eating into their income. In this budget, 2024, do we foresee it staying?
The 2% tax has done a lot in stabilizing government finances. You recall when I started in 2018, our budget deficit was very high, double-digit, basically, as a percentage of GDP. So it was quite high. And through measures such as the 2% tax that we introduced in terms of intermediated money transactions and other measures, we're able then to stabilize the fiscus and immediately moved into a lower deficit position. And we have run a budget deficit since 2019 of less than 1.5% of GDP. It's actually a record for Africa, in fact, a record for the world, given the challenges that we've gone through. So our fiscal discipline has been the mantra of how we do business in government. So we continue to review taxes naturally. Things are never the same. So I cannot say upfront what I'm going to do, the 2% tax, but every year I get representation of adjusting the 2% tax. But look at what we've done already, Kolisani. We have reduced it to 1%, for certain transactions. And in fact, we've reduced to 0.5% for ZIG, for the Zim Gold, our tokenized, digitalized token. So it's 0.5%, it's not even 2%. So you can see that we've tried over time to make sure that we adjust it so that we also give some relief. And also it should be, the lower it is, the more it is an incentive for someone to use that type of transaction platform. So we continue to make adjustments. I don't think people should be fixated that is staying where it is. We've already made adjustments, actually.
But these public workers will say is eating their income at the end, shrinking their disposable income for them to buy things or for them to survive. No.
2% is not a lot, frankly, as in the scheme of things. As I say, that it has paid for the wages that the workers, civil servants are receiving in the first place. Part of their wages are paid for by the 2%. Without that, government is not making lots of profits from its parastatals, frankly. So the money is coming from taxpayers, and we're harnessing that 2% from taxpayers out there as they do their transactions. And part of that is supporting the civil servants in the first place. So I think that really they should see it from both sides, that they're getting the salary from the 2%, but of course they have to contribute something as well, having earned something to the rest of the economy.
Minister, my pleasure to be with us.
Thank you.